the cost of living on the rise in South Africa amid a number of factors, including the fuel price and, of course, other increases as well, food and other goods. Today, we're taking a look at how this affects people across the country. So let's take you live to KwaZulu-Natal now, where residents there are appealing to the government to take immediate action so that people can afford basic necessities. Some of the residents there are still picking up the pieces after the floods. And, of course, if we think just a little bit further back to the July riots and COVID-19, the pressure on consumers has been relentless, particularly in certain parts of the country. Karinda Jagmohan is tracking that story for us in that province. Karinda, it's 9 minutes after 8 o'clock, so those taking their children to school are safe from your microphone, at least for now, as you continue to track the story. But we're trying to get a sense, aren't we, from people on the ground of how these increases are impacting them, but particularly people who are impacted still from flood recovery.
Indeed, Michelle, flood recovery after the July riots, like you mentioned, COVID-19. Those who are trying to earn a basic living from small businesses like the one behind me are among those affected. We are in the community, the CBD of the Tonga town, just speaking to both consumers and shoppers alike about their experiences. We spoke to one shopper earlier who spoke to us about the fact that it has been difficult with their small income to try and get by. And then owners of small businesses also say that they're battling for their to make way and to actually earn a profit. So I know we've come to you suddenly. We are live on Newzroom Afrika. We're speaking about the cost of living. As a manager of a small business, how has the cost of living, the increase in fuel prices, food, affected you personally, sir?
It's affected me in a very difficult way. But the prices of items that we need for sales, it's gone up at a drastic level, and it's making it hard for us street vendors to sell it at a cheap price.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so essentially we've been speaking to some vendors. They actually just left us now, I think a bit camera shy at the moment. But especially those residents who are trying to get by, they say that usually they sell the food like this and the vegetables you're seeing behind me. They usually sell this at smaller prices, but now they've had to increase these prices because essentially the rising cost of fuel means that the delivery cost has also increased. So they cannot assist consumers who themselves are battling as well. There was one gentleman who was just speaking to us about a water crisis, so let me quickly try and get to him. So we're live on Newzroom Afrika. Perhaps we can quickly bring you in. Can you perhaps tell us about the water crisis and how this is impacting the pockets of Tongaat residents?
Hi guys, good morning. I'm Fahim from Fahim's Fresh Produce. We are combined with Human Aid SA. As you can see, for the past, I think it's gone 60 days now, we haven't received any water in our taps here. And what Human Aid and I did, we joined and we are distributing drinking water to the town of Tongaat. We are doing over 120 pallets a week.
But sir, the human aid is much needed at this time. Tell us about how Tongaat residents are battling in terms of survival because the cost of living is too expensive. Fuel, water, no water, having to buy water.
As you can see, this town is it's a low income to a middle class people. But the rich can afford it. But as you can see, there's a company here, Salvo's closed. There's about 600 staff. They went on short time. And it's tough. It is very, very, very tough. You know what I'm saying? So people are battling. There's no assistance from anyone. You know. So what we are doing, we are trying to help the people of Tongaat and give them this drinking water. And as we're saying, we need funding. The government's not helping us with anything. Once we stop, what's going to happen to this town? If there's no funding for Human Aid SA or any other organization, how do we provide for the people of Tongaat?
Thank you very much, sir, for speaking to us. So there's one Tongaat resident. He is the owner of a small fresh produce like this one. He's helping to deliver free water because, as he's saying, at this point, the town doesn't have water. They're going through this crisis, and at the same time, the cost of living is increasing. Of course, later today, we'll hear from Statistics SA about the actual figures involved when it comes to looking at the picture of South Africans who are really trying in this very hard times to try and take what they can from their pocket just to afford to live. on a day-to-day basis, Michelle.
Yeah, absolutely. Very worrying indeed. Status is set to release quarterly GDP figures for the first quarter of 2022. Karinda, thanks for that update.